Hey, sports card fans, it's John, Wade Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. Well, I have reached the 10% mark on my 100 cards for $100,000. I just picked up card number 10, got it in the mail, and I am in love with it. It is a gorgeous looking card. I originally had not set out to have this card be the next card that I acquire on my list. I have various eBay searches out there on particular players that are on my list and just check to see which ones, come up and if anything catches my eye in the particular grade that I'm looking for and price range. And this one card showed up. Now, the grade that I had for this particular card on my list would have cost me around $300. This was a lower grade copy, but as soon as I saw it, the eye appeal of this card is just amazing for its grade. Now, the pictures on the listing were pretty good, front and back. I couldn't really tell what may be wrong with it, but I had to figure that what I couldn't see was probably there's probably something, but it was probably something minor. And there's an imperfection to it, but you really have to look for it. And I like those types of, hey, it got a grade because of this, and you go where. So really pleased with the eye appeal, but again, this one was an auction. And looking at the comps for this particular grade, they were selling, the last few sales were around $200. And so I thought that I could pull that within my budget for this particular pay period that I've set aside as my card budget. And I said, well, maybe let me see if I can go after it. Just give it a shot, because again, I kept looking at the card. The more I looked at it, the more I wanted it. But again, I had to be fiscally responsible and keep within my budget. Now, as I've been working on this list and building my vintage collection, it's become apparent that the cards that I'm looking for any particular grade that have really good eye appeal, especially good centering, that it may require that I pay a premium above comps, especially if the previous sales at that particular sales price, are off center or this or whatever. If you find a particularly nice looking card, you may have to pay a premium for that. So I went into this auction, and I was willing to pay up to a 20% premium. So the comps were around 200. So I was prepared to bid as high as around 240 for it. Well, right toward the end of the auction, and it was still like well below. And of course it started going up and up and up, and I'm like, oh man, I could see the card like right at the very end just sort of exploding, as a lot of them do. Well, put my bid in with a couple seconds left, and I bought it or won it for just above the comps. So all in, shipping, tax, and the card itself, I'm into this card for $225. Very happy with that, because again, on my list, I had budgeted this particular card as costing me $300. So I've saved $7,500 on this card, and I am happy. I've seen copies 1 or 2 grades higher that have sold within the last 6 months or so, that to me don't have as good of an eye appeal as this card does. So really, really happy with it. So to give you a summary of where I am on my budget and so forth, the 10 cards that I've acquired, I had originally budgeted or said that they would cost me on this list $1,250. So far, for those 10 cards, I'm in for only $1,100. So I'm actually, well, I didn't start off very well. I started off, a little bit over budget, but I've become really good at finding examples, maybe a little bit below the grade that I had it on the list, and still have been able to find really nice copies. So I am now standing $150 under budget. And the last thing is, I was, again, with the budget and what I was thinking I may have to pay for this card, I was thinking that I'd have to maybe temporarily, but dip into the money I've saved and set aside for the National. But again, I was able to do some penny pinching with other purchases, or foregoing a purchase of a card that I may have not really needed. And I'm within my budget. Haven't had to touch the National budget, so that's even better. So I'm going to turn the camera around here and have you take a look at card number 10 on my 100 cards for $100,000. Okay, before I show the card off, I want to show off a couple cards quickly to put this particular card in context. So we have the 1952 Bowman. We have the 1952 Topps. We have the 1953 Topps. The 1954 Topps. And the 1956 Topps. 1955 would also fit into this, but I don't have any 1955 Topps cards to show as an example. The reason why I'm showing these cards is, in my opinion, these cards from these particular years represent probably the most beautiful looking baseball cards post-war baseball cards. The artist renditions of the photographs that were taken for these cards, the colors used. To me, these are all mini works of art. They're yes, they're baseball cards. They have, historical significance. The heyday of the 50s and baseball and all that stuff, the nostalgia. But to me, the designs of these cards and the images on these cards, again, the colors. Look at how some of those colors pop. This age of vintage, to me, again, post-war, are some of the most beautiful cards that have ever been made. And I'm happy to own these copies here. And the card that I picked up, card number 10, just adds to this group of cards. So that's why I wanted to show them off. Now, this particular card represents the oldest post-war card in my collection. I have a couple T206s, so they're the oldest, and then it's this one here. And the card in question is the 1950 Bowman Yogi Berra. Oh, just look at that card. I am in love with this card. I love, again, the artist's rendition of the original photograph. This is my first 1950 Bowman card. I knew the 50 Bowmans were a little bit smaller than the cards, but it just shocked me a little bit how small the 50 Bowmans are. But just, again, I'll point out the flaws in the card, but just the initial look of that card. That centering is, again, it's not perfect, but my goodness. The corners, again, for me, are excellent for, again, this age of card. And this particular grade. And if you noticed, I have hidden the grade because I'm going to show off this card here, the front and back, and show where the perfections are. But as I'm showing this card off, I want you to guess what this grade is. Because I think overall it looks much better than the grade. So there's the front. Here is the back. Now, granted, the back is off-center top to bottom. But to me, it's a nice, clean-looking back. Now, I don't know if... I will tell you the card has no qualifiers. I don't like purchasing cards with qualifiers. I don't know why, just a thing of mine. So I don't know if they considered some of this, you know, maybe around the edges, this little discoloring as a stain. I don't know, because again, there's no qualifiers. But I'm just trying to think how it plays into the grade that this card received. Now, let me show you where the imperfections are. Actually, let me get my fingers off here. All right, get a nice clean look at this. All right, now, if you tilt the card in a particular way, and forgive the glare here, but you'll be able to see it here. All right, right in the middle there is a very faint surface crease, and it goes all the way over. I think it may go over to the edge of the card, but it's almost along that horizontal, you know, the back horizon line of that card. And so it is, again, unless you tilt it, and hopefully I'll get a better shot of it here. Now, there appears to be a line up there. I think that's on the case, right above my fingernail there. I think that's the case itself. And there's another, you can see right, technically, if you put the card, again, if you hold it at the right angle, you'll notice there's a small little surface crease right along his hat. Other than that, I've looked this card over. Obviously, the corners have some issues. This bottom corner, if I can get the angle right, looks like there may be a little slight bend in it, but so minor. And of course, the crease, now that I showed it to you, does not extend to the back of the card. At least from what I can see. So, again, I'm going to be looking at this card like this. I'm not going to be looking at this card like this. And to me, this is just one beautiful, beautiful card of the 1950s. It's not. It may crack my top five. My top five, of course, is that 54 Topps Ted Williams, my T206 Christy Mathewson Dark Cap, that 52 Bowman Mantle. Those are probably my top three. There may be one more above this, but if anything, this may be my top five in terms of vintage cards. And again, I wasn't looking to get a Yogi Berra card. It's on my list, but I didn't think that at this point in time I would be owning this card, and I absolutely love it. All right, so now for the reveal. So I'll let you know, I was looking for a PSA 4 for this card, and that 4 would have been, like I said, around $300. The grade for this one is a 2. And I've seen 3s and 4s. Again, maybe not have that slight surface crease there, but are off-centered. I've seen one. Now, the registration on this may not be 100% perfect, but I've seen others where the registration is really off. You sort of get that slight little double vision type of thing. I cannot be any happier with this card. Just so happy to have this card as part of my collection. So it's very fitting that this is card number 10. So since I am at number 10, I thought I would do a very quick recap of the first 10 cards that I have on my list. So there we go. That's card number 10. And I'll just do this in chronological order. Again, we have that 67 Yastrzemski. The 68 Yastrzemski. The 69 Hank Aaron. The 1970 Yastrzemski. The 1971 Topps Thurman Munson. The 1971 Hank Aaron. The 1972 Yastrzemski. The 1973 Hank Aaron. And finally, 1976 Topps Hank Aaron. So let me know in the comments, one, what do you think of the Yogi Berra card that I picked up? And which one is your favorite out of the first 10 that I have picked up? Would be interesting to see which ones that you would like to have, or you like the copies of, or whatever. So let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, would really appreciate a thumbs up. That's all I have for you. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.